Hello, and welcome to Code Your English. I'm really happy that you are here with me today. Thank you for giving your time to this episode. On this podcast, we talk about simple ideas to help you grow, become stronger, and improve your English at the same time. So take a deep breath, relax, and get ready to learn something useful. In today's episode, we are going to talk about something very important: why we keep making the same mistakes again and again, and how we can stop doing that. Have you ever said to yourself, "Why did I do that again?" Or, "I thought I had learned my lesson, but I still made the same mistake"? You are not alone. Many people, including me, have felt this way. It can happen in school, at work, in relationships, or even when learning English. Sometimes we feel frustrated and don't understand why we keep repeating the same errors, even when we really want to change. This topic is important because if we understand why we keep doing the same wrong things, we can start to make better choices. When we repeat mistakes, it can make us feel stuck or slow down our growth. But when we learn from them, we grow as people. We feel more confident and more in control of our lives. That's why this episode is not just about mistakes. It's about learning, changing, and moving forward. In this episode, you will learn what a mistake really is, why we repeat the same ones, and how to stop making them. I will give you simple, clear steps that you can use in your daily life. We will also talk about common mistakes that English learners often repeat and how you can break those habits and improve faster. I will use easy words and short sentences so you can understand everything. And remember, this is a podcast for English learners, so you can also practice your listening and speaking skills while learning something helpful for life. As you listen, try to repeat some key words and sentences with me. Speaking out loud is a great way to improve your English. If you want, you can even pause the episode and say the sentence again. Don't worry about being perfect. This is your time to learn and grow, step by step. So, are you ready to stop repeating the same mistakes and make a positive change in your life and in your English learning? Let's begin this journey together. You're doing great by just showing up and being here. Now, let's move into the next part, where we'll talk about what a mistake really means and why it's okay to make them. Let's go. Understanding what a mistake is. Now, let's take a moment to really understand what a mistake is. Before we can stop repeating mistakes, we need to know what they actually are. A mistake is something we do that is not right or not what we wanted to do. Sometimes we do something, and later we realize it wasn't the best choice. That is a mistake. Mistakes can be small, or they can be big, but they are a part of life, and they happen to everyone. Let me give you some simple examples. Imagine you have homework, but you forget to bring it to school. That's a mistake. You didn't do it on purpose. You didn't want to forget. But it happened. Or maybe you are speaking English, and you say, "He go to school" instead of "he goes to school." That's a grammar mistake. It's normal. Or maybe you speak to someone in a way that sounds rude, but you didn't mean to be rude. That can also be a mistake. So, as you can see, a mistake is just something we do wrong, usually without meaning to. Now here's something very important. Mistakes are not bad. They are not a sign that you are weak or stupid. In fact, mistakes are a natural part of how we learn and grow. Think about when you learned to ride a bicycle. Did you fall once, twice, maybe even 5 or 10 times? That's okay. Falling is how we learn to balance. It's part of the learning process. And the same is true for English and for life. When we make mistakes, it doesn't mean we are failures. It simply means we are trying something new. We are learning. We are moving. Mistakes show us what doesn't work, so we can find out what does work. Every successful person has made many mistakes, but they kept going. They learned from them, and they got better with time. It's also helpful to understand that everyone makes mistakes, no matter how smart or strong they are. Your teacher, your boss, your parents, even people on TV or famous athletes, they all make mistakes. Sometimes we think we are the only ones who keep doing the wrong thing. We think, why do I always mess up? But trust me, you're not alone. Even people who seem perfect have made hundreds, maybe thousands of mistakes in their lives. I want you to really remember this. It's okay to make mistakes. You do not need to feel guilty or ashamed. What's important is not the mistake itself. It's what you do after the mistake. Do you learn from it? Do you try again? Do you do something different next time? That is what really matters. Let's take another simple example. Imagine you are learning English, and you often forget to use the past tense. You say, yesterday I go to the market, instead of yesterday I went to the market. You might feel a little embarrassed when someone corrects you, but don't be. That's actually a moment of learning. The next time, you might remember to say went instead of go. That's progress. Every mistake is a small teacher. It gives us a message. Hey, look here. This is something you can improve. Sometimes people feel bad because they make the same mistake again and again. For example, maybe you keep arriving late to school or work, even though you promised to come on time. Or maybe you forget to study English, even when you said you would study every day. You might feel angry at yourself. You might think, why can't I stop doing this? But here's the truth. This is also normal. Many people struggle with the same mistakes. It doesn't mean you are lazy or hopeless. It just means you haven't found the right way to change yet. And that's exactly what we are here to explore in this episode. So please, don't be too hard on yourself. Being kind to yourself is part of the process. When you make a mistake, say to yourself, that's okay. I can try again. I can do better next time. If you speak to yourself with kindness and patience, your mind will stay open. You will learn faster. You will feel more confident. But if you say things like, I'm stupid, or I always fail, your mind will close. You will feel bad, and it will be harder to grow. Mistakes are like small signs that guide us on our journey. They show us where we are weak and where we can become strong. Instead of hiding from mistakes, let's look at them. Let's learn from them. Let's talk about them. That's how we grow, not just as English learners, but as people. So, to sum it up, a mistake is something we do wrong without meaning to. Mistakes happen to everyone. They are part of learning. You should not feel guilty about making mistakes. Instead, you can see them as learning tools. And the more you understand your mistakes, the easier it becomes to change. In the next part of this episode, we will talk about why we often repeat the same mistakes again and again. You may already know what your mistake is, but you still do it. Why does this happen? What is stopping us from changing? Let's find out together. Keep listening, and remember, this is your time to grow. Why do we repeat the same mistakes? Now that we understand what a mistake is, let's talk about something that happens to all of us. We often repeat the same mistakes again and again. You may say to yourself, I know this is a mistake, so why do I still do it? This is a very good question. The truth is, making a mistake once is normal, but making the same mistake again and again means that something deeper is happening. In this part of the episode, we are going to explore why this happens. The first reason we repeat the same mistake is because we do not learn from the past. Many times, we make a mistake, but we do not stop to think about it. We move on quickly and forget it. We don't ask ourselves, why did that happen? What can I do differently next time? When we don't learn from the mistake, we are more likely to do it again. For example, let's say you always forget to study for your English test until the last minute. You feel stressed and don't do well on the test. You tell yourself, next time, I will start earlier. But when the next test comes, you forget again. Why? Because you didn't take time to understand why you waited last time. You didn't change your habits. So, the same mistake repeats. To stop repeating mistakes, we need to slow down and learn from them. We must reflect. We must ask questions and look at our actions. The second reason is that we often act without thinking. This happens a lot in everyday life. Sometimes we are in a hurry. Sometimes we are tired or emotional. In these moments, we do things quickly, without thinking about the results. Later, we realize we made the same mistake again. For example, maybe you always say yes to people, even when you are busy. You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, so you agree to do things you don't have time for. Later, you feel tired and stressed. You think, why did I say yes again? It's because you didn't stop to think before you answered. Acting without thinking is a habit that many people have. But we can change it by pausing. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this the right choice for me? A short pause can stop a big mistake. The third reason we repeat mistakes is because we are often afraid of change. Change is not easy. Even when something is not good for us, we sometimes continue doing it because it feels familiar. It feels safe. Our mind says, stay here. Don't try something new. For example, imagine you are learning English and you are afraid to speak in class. You stay quiet even when you want to say something. After class, you feel bad and think, I should have spoken. But the next day, the same thing happens again. Why? Because change is scary. Speaking out loud is uncomfortable, but to grow, we need to face that fear. We need to take small steps out of our comfort zone. Change can feel scary at first, but it leads to growth. The fourth reason is lack of self-awareness. This means we don't always see what we are doing. We are not fully aware of our habits. Maybe we don't notice how often we interrupt people. Or maybe we don't realize how often we complain. Sometimes other people can see our mistakes, but we don't see them ourselves. For example, you might keep using the wrong tense in English, and you don't even realize it. Or maybe you're always late to work, and you say, it's just traffic, without seeing that you are leaving your house too late. When we are not aware of our actions, we cannot change them. That's why it's so important to pay attention to how we speak, how we act, and how we respond. When we become more aware, we can break the cycle of repeating the same mistakes. Let's take a moment and review these ideas again, because repetition helps us remember. We repeat mistakes because we do not learn from the past, we forget or ignore the lesson. We act without thinking. We move too fast or let emotions guide us. We fear change. We stay in old habits because they feel safe. We lack self-awareness. We don't realize what we are doing wrong. Now, can you think of a mistake you often repeat? Maybe it's something in your English learning, like not practicing speaking. Maybe it's something in your daily life, like going to bed too late. Ask yourself, why do I do this again and again? Try to connect your mistake to one of the reasons we just talked about. Is it because you didn't learn from it? Or because you didn't stop to think? Or are you afraid to try something new? Or maybe you didn't even notice the habit until now? It's okay. All of these reasons are human. We all have them. The good news is that once we understand the reason, we can take the first step toward change. Knowing why is the beginning of doing something different. So, now that you know why people repeat the same mistakes, we are ready to move to the most exciting part: how to stop it. Yes, we can stop repeating mistakes, and we will talk about that next. I will give you easy steps you can follow to help you break the cycle. These steps will help not just in English learning, but also in your everyday life. So stay with me, and let's continue this journey of learning and self-growth. You are doing a great job, and every word you listen to brings you one step closer to becoming a better, stronger version of yourself. How repeating mistakes affects your life. Let's now talk about something really important: how repeating the same mistakes can affect your life. Maybe you think, well, it's just a small mistake. It's not a big deal. And sometimes that is true. But when we keep making the same mistake again and again, it starts to change how we feel about ourselves. It can change our relationships with people. It can even make learning and growing harder. When you repeat the same mistake many times, it can make you feel frustrated. You start thinking, why can't I stop doing this? That frustration can turn into self-doubt. You may begin to believe that you are not strong enough or smart enough to change. This can slowly hurt your confidence. Confidence is the belief that you can do things. When your confidence goes down, you stop trying. You may say things like, I always do this wrong, or maybe I'm just not good enough. These thoughts are not true, but they feel real when you keep repeating mistakes without seeing progress. Repeating the same mistakes can also affect your relationships with other people. Imagine that you often promise things but don't follow through. For example, you tell your friend, I'll meet you at 5, but you show up late again. Maybe you say, I'll call you tomorrow, but you forget. At first, your friend may forgive you, but if this happens many times, they may start to feel hurt or stop trusting you. They may feel like you don't respect their time or their feelings. Mistakes in communication, like speaking without listening or reacting with anger, can hurt your connection with family or coworkers too. So repeating the same mistakes can slowly break the trust between you and others. Now let's talk about how repeating mistakes can affect your learning and personal growth, especially when you are learning English. Imagine this. You want to improve your speaking, but every day you say, I will practice later, and then you don't. You tell yourself you'll speak English in class, but every time you stay quiet. You do this again and again. What happens? You don't improve. Not because you can't, but because the same habit is stopping you. This makes learning slow. It keeps you in the same place. And with time, you may feel stuck. You might lose motivation and feel like giving up. Let me share a short story to help explain this better. This is a story about a student named Ayan. Ayan really wanted to improve his English speaking. He joined an English class and was excited in the beginning. But he had one problem. He was afraid to speak in front of others. Every day when the teacher asked a question, Ayan stayed silent. He thought, what if I make a mistake? What if people laugh? After class, he always told himself, next time I'll try. But next time, the same thing happened. Days became weeks, and Ayan still wasn't speaking. His teacher noticed and said kindly, Ayan, I see you want to speak, but something is stopping you. Do you know what it is? Ayan said, I don't want to make a mistake. The teacher smiled and said, but by not speaking, you are making a bigger mistake. You are not learning. That moment changed something in Ayan. He realized that his fear of repeating a speaking mistake was keeping him from improving. He was stuck in a loop. So the next day, Ayan raised his hand and answered, even if it wasn't perfect. Everyone clapped. That small step helped Ayan begin to grow. This story shows us how one repeated mistake, staying silent out of fear, can block learning. It also shows how one small action can break the cycle. When we become aware of how our mistakes affect us, we can start changing. So let me ask you now, can you think of a mistake that you always repeat? Maybe you forget important things. Maybe you speak before thinking. Maybe you always wait until the last minute. Maybe you always say you'll study, but you never do. Think about it for a moment. What is one mistake that keeps coming back into your life? Why do you think it keeps happening? And how is it affecting your confidence, your relationships, or your progress in learning? The goal of this reflection is not to make you feel bad. It's to help you see clearly. When we see the truth, we can start making better choices. You are not your mistakes. You are a person who can learn, grow, and change, starting today. In the next part of the podcast, we're going to talk about how to actually stop repeating the same mistakes. Yes, it's possible. It takes time and small steps, but you can do it. I'll give you a plan that's simple and clear, so you can follow it and begin changing your habits, one step at a time. You are doing great just by listening and thinking about these ideas. Keep going. Let's move forward together. How to stop repeating the same mistakes. So far, we've talked about what a mistake is, why we repeat them, and how they affect our life. Now, let's talk about the most important part: how to stop repeating the same mistakes. Yes, it's possible. It won't happen in one day, but with small steps, you can break the cycle. You can learn from your past, and you can change your future. Let's go through 5 simple steps that can help you stop repeating the same mistakes. I will explain each one clearly, with easy examples. I will also ask you to repeat a few sentences aloud with me. This will help you practice your English while you learn something useful for your life. The first step is, notice the mistake. This means you must become aware of what you are doing wrong. Sometimes we repeat mistakes because we don't even realize we are doing them. So stop and take a look. What is something you keep doing that causes problems? For example, maybe you always forget to do your homework. Or maybe you always start studying too late. Or maybe you always avoid speaking English in class. These are mistakes that can become habits, but we cannot change what we don't see. So the first step is to say, I see my mistake. Let's say that together. I see my mistake. Good job. Noticing the mistake is the beginning of change. The second step is, Ask yourself why it happened. Don't just say, I messed up again. Ask a deeper question. Why did I do that? Try to understand the reason behind the mistake. For example, you might say, I always forget my homework because I don't plan my time well. Or, I stay quiet in English class because I'm afraid of making mistakes. Understanding the reason helps you prepare for next time. So say this with me. I ask myself why the mistake happened. Again, I ask myself why the mistake happened. Very good. When you ask why, you find the root of the problem. The third step is write it down. Yes, write your mistake and your reason in a notebook. Writing helps your brain understand and remember. It also helps you think more clearly. You don't need to write a long paragraph, just 1 or 2 sentences. For example, I didn't speak English today. Why? Because I was nervous. When you write it, it becomes real. It's easier to see. And when you see it, you can begin to change it. Repeat this sentence with me. I write down my mistake and the reason. One more time. I write down my mistake and the reason. Well done. Writing is a strong learning tool. The fourth step is make a small plan to change. Don't try to change everything at once. Just take one small action. If your mistake is forgetting homework, your small plan could be, I will pack my school bag the night before. If your mistake is not practicing English, your plan could be, I will speak English for 5 minutes every morning. A small plan is easier to follow than a big one, and small steps lead to big changes. Say this with me. I make a small plan to change. Again, I make a small plan to change. Perfect. Keep your plan simple and clear. And now, the fifth step is practice new habits slowly. Change takes time. You may not succeed the first time. That's okay. Keep practicing. If you want to speak English more, try 1 sentence today, 2 sentences tomorrow. If you want to manage your time better, try using a small to-do list each day. Habits grow with practice. So say this. I practice my new habit every day. Repeat. I practice my new habit every day. That's great. Change is not fast, but it is possible if you keep going. Let's now review the 5 steps together. Notice the mistake. I see my mistake. Ask why. I ask myself why the mistake happened. Write it down. I write down my mistake and the reason. Make a small plan. I make a small plan to change. Practice slowly. I practice my new habit every day. Take a deep breath. These steps are simple, but they are powerful. You can use them in any part of your life: school, work, learning English, or personal habits. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep trying. 1 mistake doesn't mean failure. 10 mistakes don't mean failure. It's about learning, growing, and moving forward, step by step. Let's take a quick example together. Imagine your repeated mistake is saying the wrong verb tense in English. You always say, yesterday, I go to school, instead of yesterday, I went to school. Now, let's use the 5 steps. You notice your mistake. I said go instead of went. You ask why. Because I forgot the past tense. You write it down. My mistake, wrong tense. Reason, didn't review verbs. You make a small plan. Tomorrow, I will study 5 past tense verbs. And then, you practice slowly. You say the correct sentences out loud each day. This simple process can help you improve your English and your daily habits, too. It works with anything, not just grammar. You can use it for time management, confidence, behavior, or emotions. So now, I ask you, what is 1 mistake you want to stop repeating? Think about it. Say it out loud. Then ask yourself why it happens. Then write it down. Then make your small plan. And most important, keep practicing. You're doing amazing. You're not behind, you're just learning. And every time you choose to grow, you're winning. In the next part of this podcast, we'll talk about the mistakes that many English learners repeat and how to fix them. So stay with me, and let's keep learning together. One word, one sentence, one step at a time. Common mistakes English learners repeat. Now, let's talk about some common mistakes that English learners often repeat. This part is very important because many learners want to improve, but they keep doing the same things again and again. These habits stop them from making real progress. If you are learning English, maybe you are also repeating some of these mistakes without even noticing. So let's look at them together. And remember, this is not to make you feel bad. It's to help you grow and speak better English. You can repeat some sentences with me to practice as we go. One big mistake many English learners make is not practicing speaking enough. Some learners think reading books or watching videos is enough to become fluent. But speaking is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it gets weak. You may know many words and understand grammar, but when it's time to speak, you feel shy, scared, or lost. This happens because you didn't train your mouth and your brain to work together. Speaking needs practice, just like playing the guitar or learning to swim. Let's try this together. Repeat after me. To speak better English, I must speak more English. I don't have to speak perfectly. I just have to try. Even if you are alone, you can talk to yourself in English. You can describe what you are doing, like, I'm brushing my teeth, or I'm making breakfast. You can also join online groups, talk with a language partner, or speak with a tutor. Just start small. The more you speak, the better you will feel. The fear will slowly go away. Another common mistake is being afraid of making grammar errors. Many learners want to speak perfectly. They are scared that people will laugh or correct them. Because of this fear, they stay quiet. But here's the truth. Even native speakers make mistakes sometimes. And most people don't care if your grammar isn't perfect. What they care about is understanding you. Repeat after me. Making mistakes is part of learning. Mistakes help me grow. When you speak, focus on communication, not perfection. You can fix grammar slowly over time, but if you wait until your grammar is perfect, you will never speak. The third mistake is only studying English, but not using it in real life. Some learners study grammar rules, memorize vocabulary, and do exercises every day. This is good, but if you never use the language, you will forget what you learned. It's like reading a book about cooking but never making a meal. You must take action. Repeat with me. I learn English to use it, not just to study it. I will use English every day in small ways. Try using English in your daily life. Write your shopping list in English. Send messages to friends in English. Watch English movies with English subtitles. Read short stories. Listen to podcasts like this one. These small actions help your brain learn faster and make English feel more natural. Also, many learners make the mistake of not reviewing old lessons. They keep moving to new things and forget the basics. But review is powerful. It helps your brain remember and connect ideas. If you keep learning new grammar but forget the last lesson, you will feel confused. So go back. Repeat old lessons. Practice again. Here's one more thing. Some learners compare themselves to others. They feel sad when someone else speaks better or learns faster. This is a dangerous mistake. Everyone learns at a different speed. Your journey is yours. Don't compare. Just keep moving forward. Repeat after me. My progress is enough. I am doing my best. So, let's quickly remember the main mistakes English learners repeat. Not practicing speaking. Being afraid of grammar mistakes. Only studying, not using English. Not reviewing old lessons. Comparing themselves to others. If you are doing any of these things, don't feel bad. We all do sometimes. The important thing is to notice it and try something new. Start speaking a little more. Use the English you know. Be proud of your progress. Speak to yourself. Talk to a friend. Listen, repeat, and enjoy the process. You are learning a new language. That is a big and beautiful thing. Mistakes are normal. What matters most is that you keep going. Now, can you think of one mistake you are repeating in your English journey? Say it out loud. And now, say this with me. I will stop repeating this mistake. I will change. That's how growth begins. Let's take a moment now to talk about some common mistakes that many people keep repeating in life. These are mistakes we often don't notice at first, but they show up again and again, making our lives harder without us even realizing why. Maybe as you listen, you'll recognize one or two of these in your own life. And if you do, don't worry. You're not alone. Becoming aware of them is the first step toward real change. One of the most repeated mistakes is not listening to yourself. Often, deep down, we know what feels right or wrong. We get a small feeling in our heart. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's excitement, or maybe it's discomfort. But instead of stopping to ask, why do I feel this way? We ignore the feeling. We keep going, doing what others expect, or doing what's easy, not what's right. When we don't listen to ourselves, we end up in the same problems: wrong jobs, wrong relationships, and unhappy decisions. Another mistake many people repeat is avoiding difficult conversations. We stay silent when we should speak up. We let misunderstandings grow. We pretend everything is okay, just to keep peace. But this only builds frustration. Sooner or later, the emotions come out, and usually in a bigger, more painful way. If we want healthier relationships, we must learn to speak kindly, clearly, and with respect. Saying what you need doesn't make you bad. It makes you honest. A third common mistake is waiting too long to act. We overthink. We wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect feeling. But life doesn't wait. We miss opportunities. We delay growth. And we stay stuck because we think we're not ready. The truth is, no one ever feels completely ready. Progress comes when you take one small step, even if you're unsure. Waiting too long becomes a habit, and that habit becomes regret. Another repeated mistake is trying to please everyone. We say yes when we want to say no. We give too much and leave ourselves empty. We care too much about what people think. But here's the truth. You can be the kindest, most helpful person in the world, and someone will still criticize you. So instead of trying to make everyone happy, focus on making yourself healthy, clear, and strong. That's what makes real peace. And finally, a very common mistake is not learning from the past. Something goes wrong. Maybe a relationship ends, a plan fails, or a goal doesn't work out. Instead of learning from it, we get upset, blame others, or give up. But every mistake holds a lesson. If we pause, reflect, and ask, what can I learn here? Then we grow. If we don't ask, we repeat. And that's how people stay in the same cycle year after year. Now let's try this together. I'll say a few short sentences. If you can, repeat them out loud. This will help you remember and improve your English too. I will listen to myself more. I will speak kindly and clearly. I will take small steps, even if I'm unsure. I don't need to please everyone. I will learn from my past, not repeat it. Very good. Practicing this way helps both your English speaking and your personal growth. Mistakes don't make you a failure. Repeating them without reflection is what keeps you stuck. So let's start changing that today. Daily practice to avoid mistakes in life. Now let's talk about something really powerful. Daily practice to avoid repeating the same mistakes in life. You see, mistakes are normal. We all make them. But the goal is not to live a mistake-free life. That's impossible. The goal is to learn from mistakes, and more importantly, to avoid making the same ones again and again. And the best way to do that is through a simple, small, daily habit that helps you become more aware, more careful, and more intentional every day. This doesn't need to be difficult. You don't need hours. You don't need a big plan. All you need is a few minutes each day, especially at the end of your day. I'll walk you through it. It's something that anyone can do. Students, workers, parents, teachers. It doesn't matter who you are or what your life looks like. Here's the simple practice. Every evening, take a few minutes to think about your day. Ask yourself one question. Did I make any mistake today? Maybe you said something unkind. Maybe you were impatient. Maybe you wasted time. Or maybe you avoided something important. Just notice it without judging yourself. The point is not to feel bad. The point is to become aware. Awareness is the first step to change. After you notice a mistake, ask yourself a second question. Why did I do that? Try to understand what happened. Were you tired? Were you stressed? Were you afraid? Or did you not think clearly? The more you understand your actions, the more control you'll have next time. Now, here's the next powerful part. Ask yourself, what can I do differently tomorrow? This is where you create a small plan for improvement. It doesn't need to be big, just one small step. For example, if you got angry at someone, your plan might be, tomorrow, I'll take a deep breath before I speak. If you wasted time scrolling on your phone, your plan might be, tomorrow, I'll put my phone away for 30 minutes while I work. Just one small step. Let's repeat this routine together, like a short mantra. Say it out loud with me if you can. What mistake did I make today? Why did it happen? What can I do differently tomorrow? This simple three-step evening habit can completely change your life over time. It helps you stop walking in circles, doing the same things, and feeling stuck. It helps you become more mindful, more mature, and more in control of your choices. You can write these reflections down in a small notebook, or just think about them before bed. Some people like to keep a mistake and lesson journal. Each night they write, one mistake I made today, one thing I learned, one thing I will try tomorrow. It only takes 5 minutes, but it keeps your mind sharp and your heart open. Here's something important to remember. Progress happens slowly. You will not fix everything in one night. Some mistakes will come back again and again, and that's okay. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to keep learning and growing. The daily reflection helps you see patterns, and when you see patterns, you can break them. Let's try this example together. Imagine you had a rough day. You were rude to a friend. You didn't finish your work. You watched too much TV. Now it's evening. You sit down and ask, "What mistake did I make today?" You answer, "I avoided my work and snapped at my friend." Why did it happen? You realize, "I was stressed and didn't plan my time well." What can I do differently tomorrow? You decide, "I'll make a to-do list and call my friend to say sorry." See how that works? It's small, but powerful. This practice helps your mind stay clear, your emotions calm, and your habits stronger. You become someone who takes responsibility, not in a heavy or painful way, but in a peaceful and mature way. You grow into the person you want to be, one day at a time. So tonight, before you sleep, just pause for a moment. Ask yourself those 3 questions. What mistake did I make today? Why did it happen? What can I do differently tomorrow? And then say this final line to yourself with kindness and hope. Tomorrow, I will try again. I am growing. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep showing up for yourself, day after day. As we come to the end of this episode, let's take a moment to go back to the heart of everything we've talked about. Mistakes are part of life. They are not something to fear. They are not something to run from. In fact, mistakes help us grow, but only if we're willing to pause, reflect, and learn from them. That's the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. And the beautiful part is, we all have the power to choose growth over guilt, reflection over regret. You've probably made a few mistakes this week. So have I. So has everyone around you. That's what it means to be human. We try, we fail, we learn, we try again. But here's something I hope you truly remember. You are not your mistake. You are not the bad choice you made. You are the person who noticed it. You are the person who wants to do better. And that intention, that willingness, is what will carry you to a better, wiser version of yourself. I want to leave you with a personal message of hope. You are already on the right path just by listening, reflecting, and asking how to improve. That is something many people never do. They repeat the same patterns without thinking. But you are choosing awareness. You are choosing growth. You are choosing to become more honest, more disciplined, and more kind to yourself and others. Yes, it takes time. Yes, you will slip up. But every time you fall and decide to rise again, you become stronger. Every time you pause to ask, "Why did I do that?" you become wiser. And every time you say, "I will try better tomorrow," you build a life of purpose and maturity. Let me ask you a simple but deep question. What is one small mistake you want to stop repeating? Just one. Maybe it's procrastinating. Maybe it's speaking without thinking. Maybe it's doubting yourself. Maybe it's being too hard on someone you love. Whatever it is, name it. Acknowledge it. Don't hate yourself for it. Just say, "This is something I want to work on." And then begin, slowly, patiently, day by day. Remember, you don't need to fix everything all at once. One small change, one small effort, one honest moment can shift your whole direction. So I encourage you, keep learning, keep growing, keep showing up even when it's hard. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. And that journey takes time, but it is worth every step. Also, if you found this episode helpful, I invite you to re-listen to it whenever you need a reminder. And even more, I encourage you to practice speaking with it. Repeat some of the phrases aloud. speak your answers to the reflection questions, or even write your thoughts in a notebook or journal. This will help your English speaking and thinking skills grow, and it will help your personal understanding go deeper as well. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I truly appreciate you being here and listening all the way to the end. I know your time is valuable, and it means a lot that you chose to spend a few minutes growing with me, learning, reflecting, and improving both your mindset and your English. That's something powerful, and I hope you feel proud of yourself for taking this small but important step. If today's episode helped you in any way, whether you learned something new, felt encouraged, or just had a moment to think about your life differently, I invite you to listen again. You can go back, replay the parts that stood out to you, and practice speaking along with me. Repeat the tips, the advice, or even your answers to the questions I asked. This is a great way to improve your speaking skills and your confidence in English, and it helps you remember the message more deeply. If you feel comfortable, please take a moment to like this episode, leave a comment, or share your story with us. What mistake are you trying to stop repeating? What daily habit are you trying to build? Or what advice from today really helped you? I would love to hear from you. And your comment might also help someone else feel less alone in their journey. And finally, if you think this podcast could help a friend, a classmate, or someone you care about, please share it with them. You never know how one small message can change someone's day or even their life. So once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for trying to become just a little better than yesterday. I believe in your progress, and I hope you believe in it too. Stay kind, stay curious, and keep learning, one step at a time. I'll see you in the next episode.